Hi guys, welcome to Westmonster Uncensored. I'm Michael Heaver.
I'm Patrick Christies.
And today we start off with a very serious incident. You may have heard about it in France. Suspected terror attack. It looks like 2 dead and around a dozen injured. Patrick's got the very latest. And as ever, dive in with your comments, but Patrick, very serious incident.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Shocking news. It looks like there is currently an ongoing terrorist situation in southern France, in the Carcassonne region, Trèbes in southern France. This is a breaking news story. It's ongoing, as I've said, so we're going to be giving you rolling updates on this as we go. I'm going to start by giving you an overview of what we know so far. So basically what we know is that first thing this morning, earlier this morning, a car believed to be carrying 2 men pulled up alongside a group of French police officers who were apparently out for a morning jog. Shots were fired, one of which hit a police officer in the shoulder. He is obviously injured. He's not believed to be in a life-threatening condition at this stage. That car then is believed to have sped away. 15 minutes later, roughly, there was a hostage situation that was undertaken at a supermarket nearby called Super U. Again, that's in the Trèbes region of France. I do believe we've got a map for you just to give you a frame of reference about where this is in France. There it is for you there. So what we know about that is, so far from reports, is that at least one gunman, we believe it's one gunman, has stormed this particular supermarket. As Michael said, there's believed to be 2 dead and 12 injured. It's understood that that gunman shot a bloke who was working in the supermarket as a butcher. Presumably he shot somebody else as well if there's 2 dead. A police officer is believed to currently be held hostage in the scene. You can see some footage from the scene there on your screens now. As we understand it, the situation is still ongoing. As I've said, there's believed to be one gunman who's in there with a French police officer. Other hostages are understood to have been evacuated, but this bloke who is the hostage taker is understood to be armed as well as presumably with a firearm, with grenades and potentially knives. Now, the latest coming out of there, and it's been confirmed by the Prime Minister of France to say it's a terror attack, and the Interior Minister as well. It is understood that this gunman has pledged allegiance to ISIS.
So we're looking at potentially another jihadi attack.
That's certainly what it looks like. The information that we've been given so far is that this bloke has pledged allegiance to ISIS. He has called for the immediate release of a gentleman who is the only surviving member of the Paris terror attacks in 2015. He's a bloke called Salah Abdeslam. And yeah, so he's taking these hostages there, and that they are his demands, it would seem.
Very interesting here. We'll go back to Patrick in a minute, but as ever, guys, we love your comments. We love the live interactive aspect of what we do here at Uncensored. And we've got a comment here on Twitter from someone called Doug saying, my girlfriend is from Alonzac. She said the villages surrounding are completely shut off by police. Many Muslim communities in the region. So that's information from Doug. Guys, if you have any information about what's going on, if you see anything, let us know, as long as it's verified from obviously a proper source. Do let us know what you're seeing. We're going to keep you up to date on this. We are going to talk a bit about Brexit as well later on. Lots more to get through on the show. But this is, a significant incident.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have a bit of information, it would seem, on the actual attacker himself. I do want to make it clear that they believe that this shooting of a police officer and now this hostage situation, they now believe are linked. There were some thoughts initially that these could be 2 separate incidents.
There's always confusion when obviously these things are breaking.
They believe it's linked now because according to local media in France, they've found what they believe to be the car that the shooters were driving when they shot the police officer in the car park of the supermarket. That's the Super U supermarket in the Trèbes area. So they obviously now believe those linked. Some information on this attacker. He's believed to be a Moroccan national who is thought to have been on France's terror watch list. There are reportedly 16,000 people on France's terror watch list. He apparently was known to authorities. So that is where we're up to at the minute. And it looks like, so just to recap, 2 dead so far, and I'm just keeping abreast of the rolling coverage. We've got some live feeds here from local media. Yeah,
police I think said around a dozen injured as well, or wounded, so certainly very serious incident. We're going to keep you up to date with all of that over at Westmonster.com, so keep your eyes peeled.
Some relatively breaking information here is that we said to you that a police officer was currently being held hostage inside the supermarket. So French media, Le Figaro, who are doing a live feed on this, they've got someone at the scene. They're saying that this police officer is a 45-year-old lieutenant colonel, and he actually was swapped for some of the hostages. So obviously, if that's to be believed, then there's an incredibly brave chap. But that is where we are at the minute.
Did you say? I mean, it sounds like this guy was on a watch list.
Yeah, so that's the reports that we're getting. We've not got a name thus far. He's believed to be a Moroccan national who was known to authorities and had been known to be potentially radicalised. He is demanding the release of Salah Abdeslam, who is who's a surviving member of the Paris terror attacks in 2015. You may remember that from the Bataclan and places like that. Obviously, a terrible attack, one of Europe's worst ever.
I mean, certainly things a lot to be confirmed, and you've got to be very careful with these stories. But if this does play out that it was someone on France's terror watch list who's been able to go and commit an attack like this, has killed people, hurt people, again, it's a very, very worrying development. Well,
Matt Davies has been in touch. Thank you very much, Matt. Please do keep your comments coming in, guys. We always obviously love to hear what your views are. He's saying that these terror watch lists are a waste of time, and I mean, obviously things have to be confirmed in this particular case, but I mean, to have 16,000 people on a terror watch list is a huge number, and clearly it does beg the question, can you actually monitor them all, and what's the situation? Because if this guy is indeed radical, he's known to authorities, he's obviously managed, it would seem, to arm himself quite to the teeth, to take hostages and stuff. So, yeah, it does beg the question, how effective are these watch lists, I suppose?
Just had this through. French Interior Minister, at least 2 people now feared dead. They're saying with around 3 more wounded. I mean, we got another report that it was 12 wounded. Yeah. But certainly it looks like 2 people dead. It looks like a number of people wounded. We're going to keep bringing you all the latest on this, guys. Just another very worrying development potentially by a jihadi in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So look, we will keep the rolling coverage there. Just a quick recap there now before we move on. We're obviously going to keep dipping back in and out of this story as the show progresses. But this is in southern France. It's believed to be an ongoing hostage situation from a Moroccan national who's on a terror watch list, it would seem. 2 people are believed to be dead. Around 12 injured, although that's unconfirmed. He's holed up currently in a supermarket with a French police officer believed to have pledged allegiance to ISIS, be armed with grenades, saying that he wants revenge for Syria, and he wants the release of one of the Paris terror attackers as well. So that's where we are with that.
Just moving on to our next story now, guys. Now, I don't know how many of you watched Question Time last night. I didn't watch it live, but you'll see it. We put the story up here. Young guy in the crowd. Absolutely stole the show. Absolutely, sensational. And I do like it when you get that situation where politicians come face to face with, members of the public who give both barrels and basically tell how it is. And you had this young guy on there. We're just going to bring the video up in a second, but I'd love to know what you guys make of this if you didn't see it. So we'll play the clip and let us know what you think.
Was Grandma right to vote Brexit?
I do think Grandma was right, and another thing that annoys me is who says all these young people didn't vote for Brexit? All my friends, all under the age of 25, all voted Brexit. All my community voted Brexit. All most people I know voted Brexit. Most of the North voted Brexit. So it really, really grinds up when politicians are saying that the young people didn't vote for it. The young people did vote for it. We know what we voted for. We voted to leave the customs union. We voted to leave the single market. We voted to take back control. We don't want a jobs first Brexit. We want a people's first Brexit. That is what we voted for. We wanted democracy back, and that should be the basics of it. But not about jobs, not about economy, not about living standards, about what people want, about democracy. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, what a guy. You hear so often, don't you, that young people didn't vote for Brexit and people didn't know what they were voting for, and they have no idea what the single market or the customs union, it wasn't on the ballot paper, and they just got absolutely taken apart. It was a great moment. It shows you, doesn't it, when you have sort of politicians who are just trying to basically, second guess the British public and sort of dismiss their opinion. You get guys like that stand up, and it just spells it out, doesn't it, plainly? And obviously I think you guys, big reaction as well.
All your comments are piling in. He's a popular bloke. Karen Young saying, love that guy. Lol. Richard McDonald saying, it was brilliant. Tanis Pullen saying, I loved him. He spoke up for the young Brexit votes. I agree. I think that's important. Alison Stubbs, regular on the show. Thank you for getting involved. Alison saying, he was brilliant. He hit the nail on the head. And Mark Taylor, brilliant comment here from Mark, saying, I stood up and cheered when I heard him say that. So that's absolutely brilliant. That is nice to see, I think, because politicians, I think, a lot actually fear public interaction, don't they? I mean, Theresa May almost looks like she's allergic to it sometimes, doesn't she, when she goes and meets the public and stuff. So it's nice to see someone come across and actually put the case there for the young Brexiteers, because we always hear, don't we? It's the old people that have forced it through. Well, there you go. It's not the case.
There you go. And the brilliant thing about that, guys, is, it's completely unfiltered. He's obviously a very intelligent, switched-on guy. He's told it as it is. And when you get these idiots running around Westminster, and we're going to show it in a minute, sheer arrogance of some of these people. Oh, the country didn't vote the way I wanted, so therefore we'll just sort of dismiss that and just play on to the next referendum and try and cause another election or whatever. You know, it comes across incredibly badly when you have a young, informed guy there saying, no, sorry, did know what I was voting for.
Yeah.
Me and my mates back Brexit. We don't want any of this crap of staying in the single market, the customs union, like it's trying to be spun by some of those muppets. You know, we want Brexit as we knew, which is to leave the single market and the customs union. And you compare that now, and we go to our next story, which is sort of connected to this, to an absolutely unbelievable report originally from Bloomberg. I think we can bring up there on our website. And now this, guys, is just unbelievable, Patrick.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely crackers, really. I mean, for a little while, obviously, it's looked as though there has been some kind of coordinated effort with the Remain camp and the EU to obviously kind of reverse Brexit, it would seem, to try and get into people's heads, to force through some kind of second referendum and obviously do away with what's happened. So the gist of this now is that Chuka Umunna has apparently come out and basically admitted it, it would seem.
Well, what we've got here, we've got basically Remainer groups and MPs or whatever all working together. And we know, don't we? We're not stupid. We know pretty much that the Remain campaign is up and running, and that's why you see the lots of Sir John Major wheeled out to make these raggedy old speeches like they gave when they got spanked in 2016. They think saying the same thing in 2018 is going to have some sort of effect. I mean, it doesn't. It just makes them look even more out of touch because the country's moved on, in my opinion.
That's it. So the gist of this is that apparently there's this group of Ramonas, Chuka Umunna is one, and they meet once a week to discuss basically how to thwart the will of the people. But there's a couple of interesting things here because they have apparently had a lot of access to high-flying EU officials involved.
Well, this is it.
In Brexit, and they've even been leaked information. So, for example, the EU's negotiating guidelines were apparently sent to Chuka Umunna the day before they were sent to the government, or the day before they were certainly made public anyway. And that's the worry here, I think. I'll be interested to see what you guys make of this. Is the concern now really that you've got people in the EU at the heart of the Brexit negotiations working with the Remain camp there to try and block the will of the people, and you know that does seem a little bit underhand. But what do you guys think?
I'd go further. I think it's scandalous, isn't it? I mean, Bloomberg reports some involved privately confide that the access to senior EU politicians has been extraordinary. So wait a minute, you've got a British government here negotiating on behalf of this country, following the mandate as set by the British people in a national referendum, going into a negotiation with the European Union, and you've got these ankle biters sort of scrambling around, going over, you know, and meeting EU officials and basically coordinating of how can we water this down, how can we kill this off, how can we stop this from happening. I think it's absolutely disgraceful. Well, and as I said, it shows you the sheer arrogance. Well, you know, you voted that way, but we don't really care. We don't really care. We know best. You didn't really vote for that. You didn't know what you were doing. So we're just going to go and speak to some EU officials, and you know, and just basically coordinate to how we can make life as difficult as possible, really. I mean, shouldn't these people actually be getting behind Britain's Brexit future and trying to contribute, you know, positively for the mandate as set out by the people? But no, they're scampering around Brussels, having these secret meetings and being given information, apparently, before the British government. I mean, it's an absolute scandal. It's
not exactly negotiating in good faith, is it? But there was a piece in this report that I think you guys would find particularly bad, and that really is the fact that apparently the EU, as they've told Chuka Umunna, it would seem, the EU are happy to stall the Brexit transition process if there was to be a second referendum or some kind of constitutional crisis, a la a general election, say on the terms of Brexit. So clearly here it would seem, if you join the dots, that it looks like there may be some effort to obviously undermine public opinion Brexit, force through some kind of second referendum or a general election, stall the Brexit transition process, and then, of course, potentially just end up staying in the European Union. And apparently these groups, there's 10 people or 10 groups working with Chuka. They've now, 6 of them have apparently moved into offices next to each other or near each other in Millbank Tower, just down the road. So there really does look like a very well-organised, concerted attempt here to force through some kind of second referendum, really.
Guys, just some information through on France. A police union official says the attack in southern France killed one person by shooting them in the head before hostage taking. So again, developments are coming through on this as and when, and we'll keep you updated. But yeah, I mean, it shows you the level of coordination. I mean, make no mistake, guys, if you're a Brexiteer, Nigel Farage won this a little while ago, do not think this is a done deal. The Remain campaign, I'm afraid, You know, you've got the George Soros money swilling around, you've got MPs, you've got access, you know, extraordinary in their own words, access to senior EU officials. This battle, you know, we won the referendum. These people are now running an active campaign to stop Brexit. It's well funded, it's well connected, and you have to face up to reality, I'm afraid, if you're a Brexiteer, that this battle may not yet be over. Which is why it's so important, by the way, that you back groups like Leave.eu, and if you can back Westmonster, if you can chip in and give us a monthly donation or a one-off donation over at westmonster.com/support. Lots of you have done it already, but we need your support. We need your backing. You need to support pro-Brexit media. We're fighting that EU establishment. We're trying to get the truth out there.
Yeah.
We're trying to reach out to as wide an audience as we can, and thanks to you, we're able to do that. So please do back us if you can.
Absolutely. Well, your comments have come rolling in. Cheryl Cole, Spencer, sorry, my imagination got the best of me there, Cheryl.
Look-alike, is it all?
Saying, love you guys, you say it how it is. Thank you very much. The EU doesn't understand the word no. That was from another commenter. That was from John Bradford.
Oh, well, we know that. I mean, look how many countries have had second referendums. Ireland, I think, was the most recent one. Voted no to the Lisbon Treaty. Go on, have another vote.
Well, and there's an interesting point here from Tony Romero, who sounds like a Sopranos character. I love this, Tony. He said that the second referendum would be 65% to Brexit, not 52%. And that's an interesting point. I'll be intrigued to see what you guys would think of this, because there's been a lot of developments since the actual vote, obviously. But some of the important ones, for my money, are obviously the EU army. It would seem as though that's in full swing. Martin Schulz has come out and said he would like a United States of Europe by, I think it was 2025. So these plans are clearly afoot. Now, knowing that these things have come out of the woodwork now, realistically, if there was a second referendum, would the majority of people, even more so, not now vote for Brexit? Because those are two things that I think most British people are vehemently against, you know. So it'd be interesting to see. But what do you guys think?
Now, guys, if you remember the referendum, do you remember one of those symbolic gestures during it, which was the EU passport? And you had Nigel Farage.
Well, we want the British version, don't we?
The EU passport, we want the British version. And, you know, he said we want the UK passports. Well, you may have heard they're set to be made in France, which has caused, you know, there's been a bit of a debate even amongst Brexiteers here. Some people saying, well, this is an instance of the free market and it's great and it shows we're getting value for money. And people like me basically saying this is absolutely disgraceful. This is not what we voted for. It should be a British company. They should be made in Britain. And Duncan Bannatyne, we did the story yesterday, Duncan Bannatyne agreeing, you know, this isn't just some sort of far leftist protectionist dude. There's a successful businessman there, you may remember him from Dragon's Den, saying, furious, some of us are so bloody mad we could explode. Our government is stupid. Stupid. UK passports made in bloody France. No more to be said. Madness. Piers Morgan also weighed in, said, doesn't matter what side you are on Brexit, letting the French make our passports is bloody ridiculous. Let us know what you think. I certainly think, you know, it just, you know, the EU procurement rules and all the rest of it, it's the UK playing by these silly rules and in doing so screwing a British company. I mean, it just does not make any sense whatsoever.
I mean, the thing is, isn't it, you know, when politicians in the political class and governments get a bad rep from the public and people can't understand where they're coming from and things, this is just a prime example of it, isn't it? This was an open goal, wasn't it, really? Look, you've got a big symbol here of the Brexit vote, which is, you know, Britain's getting a new passport, a new proper British passport. You've got apparently a £490 million contract to award to the people to make this passport. Just give it to a British company, isn't it? It's not rocket science, but no, it's gone to a Franco-Dutch company. It actually could end up, it's knocked down the shares of the British company that were in running to make it.
It could cost jobs, couldn't it?
Could cost jobs. It's obviously cost them votes. It's one of these inexplicable decisions that only governments seem to be able to make.
Yeah, Priti Patel actually made she wasn't pulling any punches. I think she called it a national disgrace. Here we go. I'll get the quote up. Priti Patel basically saying it was a disgraceful decision. This should be a moment that we should be celebrating. The return of our iconic blue passport will re-establish the British identity. But to be put in the job in the hands of the French is simply astonishing. It is a national humiliation. Called for the government to look again at the decision. As I understand it, there have been rumblings that this may be looked at again. I think there's been a big backlash.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see where it goes.
But that's it, isn't it? You would have thought that if the government or the government policymakers or whoever was in charge of this decision had just said this out loud to themselves before they've apparently made the announcement, they'd have thought, actually, that's probably not going to go down too well with the wider public. And then what you see in the aftermath of it, which is the government rowing back from it, suddenly going, oh no, it wasn't confirmed, it wasn't confirmed. Well, that just makes the whole thing look even more chaotic, doesn't it?
Lots of comments rolling in on this one. I thought there might be. Let us know what you think, guys. So we've got Karen saying we want to keep it being printed here. Leslie saying, what a joke. Lots of you saying that the issue here is, and including David on Facebook, thank you very much for your comment, David, saying the passport issue is about security, not money. So that's quite an interesting one. So you think there's some sort of security issue to this now if they're not printed in the UK. I certainly think just Kay as well saying what a joke, British passports made in the UK gives employment to British workers. Yeah. I certainly think, I mean, I've seen, as I said, I've seen some Brexiteers and I understand where they're coming from on it, but I completely disagree, saying, oh, it's about the free market, it's about opening up. But for too long, I think people in this country have had enough of seeing British workers put to the back of the queue all the time. And they actually want to see some priority to British business, to British workers. And certainly when you talk about the British passport, it's about values as a country, isn't it, as a nation?
Well, I think it seems like an odd move, especially because, you know, this could have been a good statement of positivity post-Brexit, kind of backing British business, couldn't it? Backing British workers, British industry, manufacturing, etc., etc. This was just a bit of a golden opportunity, really, for the government to go, toss this 490 million quid, roughly speaking, you know, at a British company with British workers, and etc., etc. And they've not done it. And it just, I think, what kind of message does that send out to maybe their belief in Brexit or their post-Brexit belief in British business? They're asking other countries around the world to get on board and back post-Brexit Britain, and then they don't seem to do it themselves, do they?
Yeah. And as I said, this isn't some like far-left protectionist view. You've got people like Duncan Bannatyne, you know, businessmen saying, look, you know, from a business point of view, from a financial point of view, this is absolutely insane to be giving out this contract to a French firm. Yeah, you know, we should back British businesses. Guys, if you're enjoying what we're doing here, by the way, give us a like, give us a retweet, and go and sign up to Red Alert. It's our daily email during the week. You can go over, it's westmonster.com/Red Alert. Don't leave us now, of course. Go after the show and go get yourself signed up. That's westmonster.com/Red Alert. If you go to our homepage, you will see Red Alert at the top. Click that, sign up. You'll get a daily email during the week, just to keep you on top, ahead of the game, on the big stories of the week.
Just a recap of this, our leader, before we move on, just a recap of what's going on in France. If you are just joining us, there's believed to be an ongoing terror attack happening in France, in southern France, in the Carcassonne region in Trébez. What happened this morning was at least one man is believed to have shot at a group of French police. We're just getting some information to you now that one of the police officers had been shot in the shoulder. Apparently they're saying that it was the wound was 3 centimetres away from his heart, although he's now believed to be in a stable state. The alleged attacker has then apparently gone into a supermarket called Super U nearby. He's understood to have killed 2 people in there, and he's currently holding a police officer hostage. He is a Moroccan national who was apparently on France's terror watch list. He's pledged allegiance to ISIS and says he wants revenge for Syria, and is apparently calling for the release of one of the Paris terror attackers, Salah Abdeslam. So that is where we are up to with that.
Jesse Rocket, I like that name, on YouTube saying, no Brexit stamps, no British-made passports. They think if we don't acknowledge Brexit, maybe it won't happen. I mean, it's not, you know, I think the public mood is for a loud and proud Brexit, isn't it? To wear it on our sleeves and say, you know, this is a pathway forward now, to start putting British business, British workers first. Certainly on when you talk about things like open door immigration as well, there's been a complete lack of actual game plan on when we're going to see this tens of thousands net migration target delivered. And I think that it adds up, doesn't it? You've got British passports being made in France, you've got no stamps to commemorate it, you've got nothing on open borders coming forward. We're going to have to wait till 2021. You've seen the fishermen stuff that we've done, Westmonster.com. You know, fishermen are extremely worried that their industry is going to be decimated for years to come. And it adds up, I think, into a general feeling of scepticism and to massive frustration and subsiding to anger, because people are thinking, well, the cumulative effect of this is we're not getting exactly what we wanted to vote, what we voted for in 2016. Now, we're just going to move on to a little another video here. So this is David Curtin. He's been to London Mayor Sadiq Khan. I know a lot of you are big fans of Sadiq Khan. Let us know what you think about him. But here's David Curtin in the London Assembly. See what you make of this.
Mr. Mayor, I mean, the day when we leave Brexit, which is the 29th of March next year, it's only a year away, and you mark many things as Mayor. You've marked the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. I'm sure you'll be marking the 50th anniversary of the death of Martin Luther King next month. I'm not sure if you made plans for that, but don't you think that as this is the most important thing that's going to happen in your 4 years of office, and 17.4 million people in the country voted for Brexit, and 1.4 million people in London voted for Brexit, which is more than voted for you as mayor, 1.1 million. Don't you think that it's right to celebrate this wonderful occasion when we're getting back our independence and our sovereignty from the European Union?
Well, look, I mean, I think you'll find more people voted in London to remain in the EU than voted to leave. If your party's still around next year, I'd be curious to see what ideas you have. Maybe there'll be a bucket going round for the legal fees they've got to pay in the next couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing which party you represent next time there's Mayor's question time. Maybe we'll mark that day with a celebration when UKIP's finally abolished.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll still be here representing UKIP right up until 2020. And I think what I will be saying to you, Mr. Mayor, coming up next year isn't the right thing to do to mark the day we leave the European Union, to take down that EU flag outside City Hall.
Well, look, I mean, clearly, Chair, when we leave the European Union, then there'll be questions about why the flag should remain. Bearing in mind we've left the European Union up until we leave the EU, it will stay up.
So David Curson there, he's getting a lot of love online, some people saying that he's a proper legend, quote. He's kind of, I think, epitomising a lot of the views of some of the Brexiteers, which is basically saying, look, we've voted out the EU now, why have we still got EU flags everywhere? So Khan couldn't resist a little bit of backbiting. I don't know if you ever watched any of the London Assembly stuff. Khan does usually have quite a bit of a pop back, doesn't he? He's a bit defensive, but he's basically saying, look, you know, we need to have this EU flag taken down. I want to know what your feelings are on that. Is it just symbolic? Is it time? Should it be gone now? Khan saying that, you know, look, when we leave the European Union, it will come down. But of course, there is this Ramona push, as we've said, to maybe keep us in. So is this big question, will it ever come down, I suppose?
I mean, I don't know how many of you guys hang around with Ramonas. I know a couple. It's sort of very depressing. It's sort of, you know, you've got the London mayor there with Brexit coming up, as David Curtin said. Well, you know, they should be getting excited and pumped up. This is our Brexit future. We should be planning all sorts of things, you know, parades and celebrations and events, and they're sort of still moping around on the off chance, sort of hoping that the whole thing doesn't happen, aren't they? I mean, it's well, quite bizarre to see, because out there in the country, I know there's a lot of enthusiasm amongst you guys, certainly. You know, you're enthusiastic, you're pumped up, you want to see this happen, and yet they're sort of dragging their feet, moping around. Oh, people didn't know what they were voting for. It was all a big conspiracy theory and all the rest of it. Just quite an interesting contrast, I think.
Well, it looks like Khan's comments there have gone down quite badly with our viewers, which is hardly a shock, of course. Tony saying...
He ain't a popular guy in our gaff, really.
Alison saying she can't stand him. Mandy Carter saying he looks smug. And Anthony Pratt said, just saying he can't abide him. And Shane Turner saying, remove it now.
Rip it down and burn it.
Or I will. Gosh, it's all getting a bit militant on our comments board here, but please do keep your comments coming in. Philip Grabarski just saying, take down the EU flag now. So yeah, so there's a lot of people there clearly feeling very strongly about this EU flag still flying there. But I mean, as Khan said, look, I think when we do leave the European Union, excuse me, it looks like it will be coming down. So.
Yeah, we've got Mark on Facebook, nice comment there, Mark, saying they are moping because they lost and they are sulking like spoiled children. I think that's absolutely bang on.
There's some breaking news from France. There's been confirmed that a third person has been killed with a shot to the head. That is the ongoing terror.
Just give a recap, Patrick.
Yeah, it's an ongoing terrorist hostage situation in southern France, in Carcassonne, in Trébez area of southern France. A police officer was shot, not killed, believed to be in a stable condition. The alleged attacker then obviously has gone into a supermarket. 2 people have been killed there, apparently with shots to the head, one of which we know was an employee at the supermarket believed to be a butcher. Now it's come out that a third person has been killed with a shot to the head. We understand that the hostage situation is still ongoing and that a police officer is inside the supermarket with this terrorist. This terrorist has apparently pledged allegiance to ISIS, said he wants revenge for the Syria attack. He's a Moroccan national who was on France's terror watch list, according to reports. So we're going to keep you updated with all the latest there. But that now is the third person believed to be killed with a gunshot to the head. There's some potentially 12 more injured. We'll have to bring you the latest on that. He is understood to be armed with grenades and potentially knives as well. So obviously this just has potential to really escalate.
Guys, you can see all of that developing on westmonster.com throughout today. As ever, just to remind you, Uncensored, it's 1 o'clock UK time, 1 p.m, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We'll be back on Monday. There is one more story to come up, and it's one to leave you with a smile on your face, because we like to do that when we can. But I just want to say, look, if you enjoy what we're doing here with Uncensored, if you do like Westmonster, do consider chipping in with a monthly donation. If it's a fiver, a tenner, 20 quid, whatever, just a little bit. It really does help. Lots of you have chipped in already. If you can, go to westmonster.com/support. It just takes a couple of minutes. Give us a single donation, or if you can, a monthly donation. It really does help us out. Please support pro-Brexit media. We're trying to counter the Project Fear and all of the politically correct rubbish and garbage that you see nowadays. So please do back us. Now, we want to leave you with a smile on your face, as I said.
Bit of good news.
And we're going to deliver now. Patrick, would you like to do the honours?
Well, look, obviously...
And this is on westmonster.com. We've got the story up there.
Yes, this is the news that BT looks to be investing in 1,300 new apprenticeships, 3,500 new engineers and up to 5,000 new jobs in Britain in 2018 alone. Obviously, this is brilliant for maybe especially young people that are looking to get on the job, get into the job market. Theresa May has said she's welcomed this announcement from BT. More high-quality apprenticeships means more young people with the vital skills and training to take advantage of the economic opportunities of the future. This is good because obviously BT is a massive, massive business, massive company. You know, they're clearly not got this Project Fear bug. They clearly believe in expansion during Brexit Britain. And I think it bodes well, doesn't it, that you've got big business now that are willing to recruit at what many people would regard as a time of potential instability. That you've got these people that are willing to throw open their doors and, you know, hire thousands more people, I suppose, this year alone as well. So, you know, already we could see by the time we actually do leave the European Union, you know, just in this case alone, thousands more people employed, which would be good.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of companies that have announced they're going to invest in it. It just shows you, you know, do not listen to the empty rhetoric of those morons who said that if we voted leave, there'd be a recession and there'd be this, that and the other. Just look at what's actually happening. I will just, you know, every time you see one of these economic scare stories of these ridiculous forecasts, proven to be complete cobblers time and time and time again, look at the reality of what's going on. That's what we do at Westmonster. We report the reality of what's going on, not what's going to happen in 15 years on some ridiculous flawed forecast. Here you go, BT looking to recruit 1,300 new apprentices and graduate jobs, and on top of that, it's
for 5,000 in total in
2018. Yes, you've also got Openreach looking for 3,500 engineers there. So, you know, 4,800 jobs there alone. This rubbish you hear about, if we leave the single market, if we leave the European Union, if we leave the customs union, if we go ahead with all this, it's all going to be a catastrophe. These companies are investing. These companies are recruiting. Look at the facts. Don't listen to the Ramona spin, because it ain't based in reality.
This has gone down very, very well here with a lot of you. A lot of people just posting a picture of the British flag and a big thumbs up and basically saying yay for the UK. Richard McDonald saying great news for youngsters. And Tanis saying big up BT. And here we are, a nice interesting one here from John Harrison saying there should be celebrations all over the country with the first day of freedom and a national holiday. We call it Independence Day and have a bank holiday. That's interesting there. So a lot of positivity there.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Uncensored will be back on Monday at 1 o'clock. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you there.
Take care, guys.